Hello everybody, how are you today? I am Superfiend and welcome back to Let's Play Planet Coaster. We are picking up where we left off in the last episode, building the main park entrance. Now, it took a little bit longer than I anticipated just to get this little building here up. So what I've done for the liberty of time, for not taking that long, is I spent a little bit of time going through the scenery pieces, and I just laid out a few of the extra pieces that I think we may be using to finish this building off. And that should help us keep the design episodes a little bit shorter. I think I'll do that when I know I'm going to be doing a lot more design in an episode. I'll just kind of get the pieces out and ready so I don't have to spend a lot of time searching through these menus and selection areas. And then we'll just use the pieces that are already laid out. So what we want to do is we want to just add a few more details to this main entrance, make it look a little bit more like a true main entrance. So let's go ahead, and the first thing I want to do is I tried a few of the different signs and I kind of like this one, and I'm thinking we may move this over and oops, we want to line it to the ground and hit the V key so it stops moving around on us. We may just set this one right here. Later on, I'd like to replace it with a better sign that says Whacky World, maybe in with the letters in different coloring and slightly off rotations. But for now, I just kind of want something that lets us know we're going into an amusement park. So we're going to go ahead and place that one there. And in the previous episode, I talked about these little gaps here. I don't really like them. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the color from this panel, and we're going to apply it to the 4-meter panel column piece. There we go. And we're going to duplicate this piece and just move it in right here. And we're going to do another one there. And that kind of helps to alleviate those little gaps that were being created. And then we've got this other panel column 1-meter piece. I'm going to make it black. I'm going to see how this looks, how I like it. And I'm going to put the black on top just like that. And I think that is kind of a nice way to fill in those little gaps. So what we're going to do is we're going to select all of these and duplicate. And we'll go ahead and duplicate and duplicate. And then we'll do it on this side. I'm not going to do this section. You'll see why in a moment. So now we can go back over here, and we got too many of them in the middle of the archway there. So we'll delete them and then select the ones that are remaining, and then they'll fill in those gaps nicely. Now the other thing I want to do, oops, I have the park paused. I did pause it while I was getting the pieces out. I want to add some lights in here. This is way too dark. If it was, let's say, 2 a.m. instead of 2 p.m. We just want a little bit more lighting in here if it is nighttime. Let's go ahead and change this back to p.m. I also, when I decide to use the set lighting, I like to do 2 p.m. because then the only thing you really have to go in and change is this drop down between a.m. and p.m. So like 1 would work, 3 would work, because then you could switch between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. Okay, I want to add some lights, so I've already picked out and get the camera moving the way I want it to again. I've already picked out the box light from the scenery, and what we'll do is I'm going to center it in the middle of the blue panel there. Actually, let's move it. I want to point it down, and now we'll center it. And we can change the color on this. We can go ahead and pick just kind of a red. Now this one, when you change the secondary color, it does change the lighting color. And so I am going to pick a slightly yellow color for this. And then we'll duplicate that and center it on this one. And we're just going to do that, let's see, in all of these little shop areas, but only on the left side here. And the reason for that is because I can now select them carefully using the control key to select all these lights. And we can switch to AM. Okay. I wanted to do an advance. Ah, okay. Yeah. Advanced move, and then it brought it up over here. I didn't see it. I thought it deselected them when I hit advanced move. Now we can move these down, and we can see what it's going to look like as they come down. So it's looking like about here is a nice area for those lights. So we're going to go ahead and say OK with that. And then we're going to do a Control X for advance duplicate move. And fix the move the camera up. And then we're going to change the rotation and make sure that the angle snap is on. And what we want is we want to spin these around 180 degrees. Okay, so whoa. Okay, that should have been 180 degrees. Then we're going to change it instead of rotation to translation. And if we just move them over here, we should be able to line them up perfectly with this building. They don't have to be exact. They don't have to be exactly flush. Okay, we could do it that way. And that takes care of the lighting in there. The other thing I did is I picked out some signs. I think these empty sections of wall, I think they would do well to have some signs on them. So let's go ahead and just add some of the different signs. So I'm going to zoom out farther. And we'll just go ahead and pick that one. And we'll center it there. Oh, they're upside down. Okay, well, we'll take care of that in a second. Doesn't really matter which sign goes where. We don't have to be so picky about this. Okay. And then we'll do a move. Double rotate. There we go. Move, double rotate, F to snap. Move, double rotate, F to snap, and then move, double rotate again, F to snap. Zoom out. We'll select all of these. Do a control or do an X, and now we can move them all up slightly. Kind of want them a little bit higher. Okay, so let's get down to the lower level here and see where it looks right. This is pretty good. And then the other thing we want to do is maybe sink them into the wall just a tiny bit. It didn't matter too much, but that looks okay. So that's looking like it has a little bit more life to it. And we also picked out, let's see, some of this other stuff here. Let's see what happens if we, where could we put this? Where would it look okay? So we could put it here and then lift it up. I don't really know if I like that. Could go here and then move it up. But I don't think I like that either. We'll forget about that for now. Let's go ahead and set the lighting back to daytime. Rotate around here. And you don't have to do this when you're designing your parks. It doesn't really matter. But, we built this building and there's no way for the supposed employees that are working inside of it to get in and out. So we could pretend that, they got like a little staircase and they go underground to some weird facility, or we could just put doors. So I did go and find a suitable door. This is the most suitable door for like a park facility building that would match the panel piece. If we go in here to the, we're in the building area and we go to doors and windows and we look at these different doors. Let's make these bigger. I mean, none of these really match what we're building here. I guess you see even that just looks way too weird on this building design. So This is the best choice. I wish they had a few others, but that's okay. We won't begrudge them that. They've made a wonderful game. Now, after adding the doors, we got to go ahead and move these pieces here. They no longer look appropriate. We got our rides are breaking down every now and then. Oops, one more on the end. Okay. So that looks all right to me. So the employees go in and out. And we should add these columns. Do we want to add them on the end? I don't know that we need them on the end. Go ahead and do that for now. Okay. And if we turn around and we look at the back of the building, it's looking a little bit plain. So what could we do to liven that up a little bit? And we could kind of put some of these little pieces in here. I wish they had another star piece that like had the other orientation. You know, that doesn't work. We'll go ahead and select all of these, advance move. Move them up slightly. See, I don't know about that. You'd see that on your way out of the park, not really while you're on your way in. Maybe if we select a few of them and move them over a little bit, we could just try different things here. Yeah, that's kind of okay. Now, if you were going to do something like this and you want to make sure that it's lined up on this side and that side, you know, how are you going to do that? Well, a good way is you can take this middle section and just look where it's coming in almost right in between the pathway there. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we could do that. And then we could do this side, and all we have to do is get this little dot roughly in the middle. So we line our camera up with it, make sure we get the blue arrow. That's pretty close to even. And then when you zoom back out, it looks mostly symmetrical. Of course, it's going to be off by a small amount, but not enough for anybody at our viewpoint to notice. Let's see, can we do anything interesting with this? I think these circles kind of fit better in there. Can we change their color? We can't. And do they light up? I don't know if they do. They do look like they're kind of bright. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll keep that for now. On this side, of course, we got the posters to liven it up. And I also brought over some of our big statue centerpiece type items. And we could just play around with this and see if there's a place where we can put it where it looks all right. You know, we don't have to put anything down. We can just kind of look and see. You know, if that was floating right here on the building, you know, I don't know. That doesn't look very good to me. Maybe we put this guy right up in the top center. Yeah, I mean that's kind of okay, but then he looks like he's being hidden by this a little bit. So then maybe you want to lower this piece a bit. Make sure it's not floating way off the building. If we bring it back just a tiny bit, it might look a little bit better. Or not. We don't have to. Maybe that was too much. Or, you know, maybe a lot. Maybe a lot more looks a little bit better. I don't know. The beauty of this is it doesn't really matter. You know, who cares? This isn't a real park. Nobody's paying for it. We're trying to please these people over there. These are the same people that say they can't afford a $4 hot dog and they got $300 in their pocket. So, who cares what they think? And then the last thing we want to do, we just call these the signs of life improvements. is these kind of buildings, you got to keep them cool. So you wouldn't see that, you wouldn't, if you were making a real park, you wouldn't want the guests to see this. So you'd kind of hide these elements on the roofs, or, you know, behind a big sign or something. You know, if you're going to put an AC vent right there, then you might want to put a big sign here to kind of hide it. That just helps make it look a little bit more realistic. But again, it doesn't have to be realistic in any sense at all. So we could just kind of, we'll just try to get our cursor right where these lines meet right there. So we'll just add a vent there. We'll do a vent right there. And then these ones. Okay, so we could pretend that these vents are cooling off all of this and maybe these rooms, and then we just need to cool off these ones here. We'll turn the vent this way. And before I set it down, if you hold the control key, you get these nice little, you can slide left and right, so you could put one and then just slide left. And that makes sure that they have a nice alignment. Of course, the other way you could, if I can select it now, it won't let me. The other way you could do that is once you place one, you could use the advance. You could use Control X for the advanced duplicate and just slide it over there like that. So that is kind of a better looking park entrance. I think that looks okay from way out here. And the other thing we want to do, I think the building is complete for now. You can delete all that extra stuff. Now, the reason I haven't actually placed the park entrances, the literal park entrance, if you go in the shops and facilities, is if we were to set these in here, they will start, the little guests will start spawning on them, and they'll appear over here and they'll be trapped. So you really don't want to build these until you actually are ready to have the guests come in through there. So we know where they're going to go. They're going to go here, 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 and then in these two slots. So what I think I want to do right now is, this building is nice and lined up with this path. We're going to go into the path tools, and we're just going to try to extend this straight through there. And I don't know if this is going to work exactly the way I'd like it to. Let's go ahead and change it to a length one. We got 8 meters wide. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete all of that. And then because the path is wanting to snap this way, if we just hold the control key, it won't snap. Okay, so if we hold control, now we should be able to just go straight through this building. And now that we've done that, let's see where can we build off of this path from? What if we select grid? Okay, see, this is nice right here. So we want a plaza type thing. We want some pathway to go right along here adjacent. So you could try to, you know, fidget with it until you get it. In our case, the select grid is working perfectly. And that's because this is a grid piece, this is a grid piece. This whole thing is 8 meters wide, so this is basically a grid piece in there. Okay. And we built that off one that way. And we could just continue to do grid, which I think is what I'd like to do. We can always come back and clean this up later. So now when we go to put the actual park entrances in here, let's see how it interacts with the path before we get too far beyond this step. Let's just make sure it's going to work. So there we go. It snaps to it nicely. And it will do that in all these little sections here. Of course, we'll have to delete these. So let's go ahead and delete this middle part right here. Okay, maybe if we do select grid, maybe that will delete it in a nicer way. Okay, I think all we needed to delete was that middle one. Okay. Let's go back into edit building, and we'll just make sure that this is going to behave correctly with what we've done with our paths. Okay, see, that's getting a little funky over there where it joins up. It's okay. The way we address that is let's see if this is going to work. Okay, so now that's all joined back up nicely. Edit building. Okay, so if we put one there, let's just try it real quick. And okay, see, that's going to work nice. So we can just Control Z, and undo. So this is our main entrance building. This is where they're going to have to walk all the way up to get into our park. And it fits nicely in here in this little piece. And they'll walk in through here. And we're going to try to build a nice little plaza. I'm not promising it's going to look good. And maybe build a monorail station. And of course the monorail is not going to be connected to anything, but we do want to have a spot for it. We want to pre-allocate a spot for the monorail and kind of get maybe a sloping queue going into the monorail with a nice looking planter or something around it. I'm thinking maybe an open air monorail station. And I'd like to begin working on that as soon as possible, because once we get this and the monorail in and then we just draw a few paths, we can make like a pirate or a Western themed area, a sci-fi area, throw a few rides in there, and then expand the park over this way and get maybe some of the larger roller coasters. And that's the basic idea. And like I said, we're still using this to subsidize everything. We're not making a lot of money, but it's certainly enough to do what we're trying to do right now. And before we tie off this episode, we have finished some research. Let's just make sure that we are going to be able to build that monorail station within the next episode or two. It is a track ride. That's fast water. Okay, so neither one of these is the monorail. Let's get these track rides going. We're going to spend the maximum we can per month to get this research done. And I'm going to speed the game up really fast for right now. And what else do we have in here? Electrically powered. Is this the monorail? That might be the monorail. I don't know. I'm inclined to think it is, but the picture doesn't really look like a monorail to me. It looks almost, I don't know what that looks like. It looks like a choo-choo train with a monorail front. I don't know. So we're going to go ahead and burn $9,000 really fast. And while that's happening, let's just go over and check our park, see how everything is doing. We are not aging here yet, so of course this one won't be aging. This is the carousel, if we can select it, is most likely aging. Yeah, okay. And then this ride as well. And it's getting close. This ride is still new. And let's check our employees really fast. Everybody is happy. Everybody has a normal workload. Let's see, 180. Let's do some staff training. 180. He's being paid 190, so we should probably bump his salary up to, I don't know, 197.5. We got our mechanic here is making 302. I'm going to move him up to 315. Our security guard, I'm going to go ahead and leave him at 200, and we'll just have to remember to keep an eye on his happiness bar, see if he starts to get angry. And I forgot to see how much it costs to train him. So we're going to leave him at 230. We're going to leave our security guard and our Rex. We're going to leave them where they are. And let's go ahead and look at our shops really quick. See what people are saying about the shops. The pizza shop looks busy, so we definitely want to train him. It is turning a profit. That's great. The shake shop is not busy, but making a profit. I want to do something fun, and I don't have enough money to visit. Well, there's really not much we can do about either of those at this point because we're not building any rides, and I can't help it if people spent all their money elsewhere. Entrance soda looks busy. Okay, so the entrance soda, but all the shops are making a profit. That's good. So entrance soda, we want to do some training. That's 162. Let's go ahead and move them up to 175 a month. The other shop that looks too busy is our pizza shop. So let's go ahead and give them some training. And we'll move them up to 175 also. Cosmic Cow. Well, the workload is normal, so it won't hurt to train them. So let's just go ahead and train them as well. And we're turning a pretty decent profit over here. Also has a normal workload, so training them isn't going to hurt in terms of their happiness. When you really don't want to train them is when their workload is low. If they have a low workload and you train them too high, they get bored, they get unhappy, and you really can't even pay them enough money to not quit. Once they get to that point, they will quit. Okay, so we're going to do 175 here also on that vendor. Let's just look at our rides again really quick, see what people say about them. People like the little arrow. They think the queue looks great. Then we have Twisty Turny. It broke down and people want to go on it. The queue could be better. Not going to stress over that. And the Carousel has a nice looking queue. The queue was full. Freaky Flyers. People think the queue time is too long. 71 minutes. That is kind of long. We could drop one of these animations in the ride, and that would certainly make the ride go a little bit faster, make the queue go faster, I think, but then it changes the prestige, I think, and how people feel about it, and then you can't really charge the same. And this ride made $258 last month. It's not really a big earner. What about over here? This one's not a big earner either. What are people saying about it? They're complaining that the queue over here was full. Let's go ahead and just fix that. And then we could probably tie this episode off. I think that would be one good thing to do really quick. Go ahead and select both of these planners. I'm going to use the select tool. Okay, and advanced move. We're going to move them both over here. Go ahead and say OK. I'm also going to move both these trees. We'll just put them back here for now. And let's go ahead and pause the game. Actually, let's not pause the game. Let's close the ride. They'll all get out of there. Just give them a second. Okay, now we will pause the game. And we will go to the queue. Make sure this is the one we're using. Yes. Okay, and we'll just make this line a little bit longer. That works. We can open it back up. Use the select tool to get those trees. Advanced move. I was thinking that the queue might end up coming over here or something to make it longer. That's why I moved them. I thought they were going to be in the way. Turns out they weren't. And now let's go ahead and pick, let's see, these planners are not going to work where they were. So we'll pick this one. And we can just squeeze it in here between these two paths. It'll overlap a little bit. But that's not a problem. There you go. So we'll put it up into that little corner. And then this other planner, probably a good idea to rotate it 180. And we'll go ahead and we'll put it right there. And then we'll duplicate it. And I'm going to rotate this one 180. Whoops. I'm going to rotate it so that these, actually they're going to end up facing the same way, aren't they? Okay, so we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to edit the building. And I'm just going to rotate the pieces like this instead. There we go. Now they look a little bit different. What is our queue scenery? Queue scenery is 100%. The ride is ready to be opened back up. All those angry people are going to come back and get on the ride. And I think we're looking in good shape. And one last thing before we tie this off. It's so easy to get so occupied with all the different things that you can check on and manage in this game. Let's just get this research done. I want to make sure that we have our monorail. We didn't get it. The classic cars, all aboard. Okay, eventually the monorail is in here somewhere. We ate up a good amount of money doing that research, and let's go ahead and let's get some balloons. I want people running around this park with balloons in their hands. We got enough money to maximize all the research now. That's it for this episode. We're going to tie this one off. We're going to come back, let that research finish, and as soon as possible, we'll probably start working on the plaza, and then as soon as possible, we're going to get that monorail station built, get a nice looking queue for it, and then we can start working on the rest of the park, get some themed areas, and a few more rides. Thank you for watching. I hope you tune in for the next one, and you have yourself a great afternoon. Thank you.